Hey y'all, welcome to the channel. Today we're checking out top 10 controversies only British people truly understand.
What's the naughtiest thing you ever did?
Oh, goodness me.
Welcome to Watch Mojo UK, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 controversies only British people truly understand.
Alright.
Big Ben's Brexit bongs hadn't materialised. Instead, clocks, both digital and famously analogue, were projected onto 10 Downing Street.
Before we begin,
I have heard of that. What's her name? The name of the lady that we just saw. It's not Liz Truss. Damn it. I forgot her name. According to her, in that moment, the worst thing she ever did was run through some fields. Like maybe she stepped on some wheat. So I think that's probably a lie.
For this list, we're looking at strange controversies that are impossible to explain to outsiders. Let us know in the comments which you think is the most baffling. Number 10. Fields of wheat. Looking back, it's strange that this became such a big issue for Theresa May's tenure in number 10.
Oh my god. Y'all, I just remembered her name, and when I said it at the same time the narrator did. They're watching us.
Nobody's ever perfectly behaved, are they?
During one now infamous interview, May was asked what the naughtiest thing she'd ever done was, and she replied with this anecdote.
I have to confess, when me and my friends sort of used to run through the fields of wheat, the farmers weren't too pleased about that.
People were quick to point out that between dropping bombs on the Middle East and sending go-home vans around diverse areas of the UK to drive out immigrants, this certainly wasn't the naughtiest thing she'd ever done.
So the Home Secretary has admitted defeat over her controversial go-home advertising vans aimed at illegal immigrants.
But the soundbite plagued her forever, and she later said that answer was one of the biggest mistakes she ever made. And yet, in hindsight, it was a completely inane controversy.
I don't really know much about Theresa May. I don't like that she did those trucks. That seems uncompassionate. Dispatch. Seems like a big fields of wheat, though. She was put on the spot. She didn't want to actually admit to... So she said she ran through fields of wheat.
Number 9. Neil Buchanan is Banksy.
A step away from
Is
street
he?
art, this is Banksy's graffiti rendered into 3D. Can I buy one? With some of his traditional themes and some new and shocking ones.
Though he is British, Banksy is a well-known name globally. However, Neil Buchanan, best known for hosting Art Attack on CITV for years,
is that a children's show?
This is an art attack? This is an art attack? This is Art Attack!
Somehow, though, a conspiracy theory began to circulate in 2020 that Buchanan had been moonlighting as the provocative graffiti
That would
artist
be so
for
funny
years.
if he was.
Hello there. Now then, have you got a really special photograph that you want to frame, but can't afford one of those fancy, expensive frames?
Never mind that one of the few things we know about Banksy is that he's from Bristol and Buchanan is from Lancashire. Buchanan was still forced to publicly deny the allegations that he was Banksy. Then again, if he was Banksy, that's exactly what he would say, no matter how little sense it made.
Television journalist, perhaps the only one, who has actually met the artist in person, and I can tell you, that's definitely not him.
This guy met Banksy for real? Hang on, what? Let's see, what is the latest on who Banksy is? That would be so funny if this children's show host was Banksy. He's doing it. That would be so perfectly Banksy too, wouldn't it? This is as of March 18th, 2024. Blah, blah, blah. They don't know. Who is he? I like his art. It's a lot of stencils, but that's cool. And I love the moment when they auctioned off that piece and then there was a shredder in the frame. Brilliant. Picasso wishes he thought of that.
Number 8. Wagatha Christie. Though athletes around the world have significant others, only in the UK are they known as WAGs.
So we're hearing from the Press Association that Rebecca Vardy has lost that High Court libel case.
What?
Despite most of them basically just being famous for dating or marrying a footballer, they're still bizarrely influential in some parts of British culture, including now the legal system, apparently.
Colleen Rooney defended herself on the grounds of truth and public interest during what has been a very high-profile trial.
The UK also has very strict libel laws, and this all coalesced to send two wags, Rebecca Vardy and Colleen Rooney, to court to fight over whether an Instagram post amounted to defamation of character.
And as you can imagine, this has caught the attention of the global press and has become known as Wagatha Christie trial.
It was an absurd media circus, difficult to explain to anybody who wasn't already following the case, let alone someone from a different country.
I'm sorry, I don't understand what happened at all. Wagatha? Okay, a dispute between... Okay. Wagatha Christie is a popular name given to a dispute between Rebecca Vardy and Colleen Rooney. In 2019, Rooney announced on Twitter that the Instagram account that was leaking the post from her private Instagram account to the British newspaper The Sun was Rebecca Vardy's account. In 2020, Vardy sued Rooney for libel. The court dismissed Vardy's claims on the basis that Rooney's statements were substantially true. The dispute and trial attracted significant media attention in part because Vardy and Rooney are WAGs, an acronym applied by the British media to the wives and girlfriends of prominent British... Okay. This is a controversy only British people would truly understand. Football players' wives, duking it out, women tearing down women. That's the world we live in. Kardashian wannabes. You know the game. They even have the same eyebrow stylist.
Number 7. Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead. In other countries, former leaders are often viewed with so much reverence that something like this couldn't happen. It's hard to imagine, in the United States, for instance, any president's death being celebrated like this in the mainstream, regardless of how unpopular they may have been when alive.
And what are you protesting?
The past, what was done to the miners, what will never be repaired.
Not the case for the UK, when our most polarising PM in history, Margaret Thatcher, died in 2013. And a campaign to get Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead to number 1 in the charts nearly succeeded.
I mean, it is a good song. Catchy hook.
The ostensibly non-partisan BBC refused to play the song. Meanwhile, people were simultaneously grieving and burning effigies in public spaces.
How have you managed to get in? Oh, you probably something incredibly important.
Well, since we're both Tory MPs, yes. and all Tory MPs.
That's hardcore. That's very British. Not in that British are cruel, but the British people don't let you get away with anything. If you f*** up, they're gonna let you know, even when you die.
How have you managed to get in? Oh, you probably something incredibly important.
Well, since we're both Tory MPs, yes. and all Tory MPs.
Number 6, the price of Freddos.
We're getting a lot of complaints because every time we order stock, we have to put the prices up, unfortunately.
In the midst of a spiralling cost of living crisis and a long-running economic decline dating all the way back to 2008, there's one metric you can always trust to reliably tell you the true rate of inflation: the price of a Freddo.
I think I have
She gave one special kiss to the Shy Prince, which turned him into Freddo, and they've been partying ever since.
Originally costing 10p for the humble chocolate frog in the early 90s, the Freddo now costs a whopping 25p in some retailers, though in the past, it's been as high as 30p.
As in 30 pence? Hang on. That still seems like a good deal to me. That's 38 cents, y'all. For a chocolate bar? Oh no, that's Cadbury. What is a Freddo exactly? How big is it? How many do you get? Okay, so that's a single Freddo, so that's 30 cents. I still don't think it's that bad, y'all. Of course, I'm paying $10 for a single chicken breast over here in America, so what do I know?
While this is exactly on par with the rate of inflation, at least until it shot through the roof in 2022, it still hasn't stopped people from being consistently irate about the chocolate bar's 150% price increase over the last 30 years. Number 5. Poppies. The World Wars affected nearly every country in the world, but the yearly gutter press reports about wearing poppies remain UK specific.
It's popped up in all sorts of places, from puppets to toasters, causing tensions between those who support it as well as those who don't.
Up until recently, wearing a poppy every November was a way to remember the horrors of war, in the hope that if we don't forget the millions who gave their lives, we can stop similarly devastating conflicts from happening again.
They say, lest we forget today, but they have dropped out never again. I guess because they know it would never come true. There will always be wars.
But the sombre poppies have become another casualty in endless culture war debates in the tabloids, with many now saying the poppy has lost its intended meaning as a symbol of remembrance, including many veterans, and others saying it's impossible to respect Britain's war dead without one.
Another footballer, James McLean, has received death threats and abuse for his decision not to wear it in 2012.
Yeah, I don't understand this. I understand why people wear them. I don't understand why it's become unpopular to wear them. Why do some people choose not to wear a poppy? The Royal British Legion says wearing a poppy is a personal choice and it should be about your own thoughts and memories. But, okay. However, not everyone chooses to wear a red poppy for many different reasons. Some people feel the red poppy has become too political, and that some politicians have used the powerful feelings it creates to justify war. Okay. I'm beginning to see it. Others refuse to wear poppies because they feel there's too much pressure put on people to wear them. That's interesting. That is a very subtle kind of thing. I think you would have to be in the culture to really stake your claim and understand how that affects you personally.
Another footballer, James McLean, has received death threats and abuse for his decision not to wear it in 2012.
Number 4. One Britain, One Nation Day.
We're officially at the Hitler Youth stage of this government. No thank you, my child will not be participating.
In June 2019, the bizarre One Britain, One Nation campaign finally succeeded in getting into British schools. The result was the Department of Education urging schools up and down the country to sing a newly written anthem about Britain, all about
Sounds
how
like
Britain
America.
tried to unite everybody in the world. Not that the countries we were uniting particularly liked it. Despite the support of senior Tories, One Britain, One Nation Day was a disaster, being widely derided as propaganda and an attempt to brainwash Britain's children.
Yeah,
it struck
it
people
is.
as a way to make Britain more like the US, with total uncritical patriotism, which people didn't like.
You know, this is just propaganda North Korea stuff.
North Korea.
Let's deal with our children. Let's give them food.
USA. No, I get it. That's creepy. That's very, very creepy to have children singing national anthem stuff. In America, we pledge allegiance to the flag every morning at school. Or we did when I was a little kid. At the time, I didn't think anything of it. But now it seems really creepy. It's weird.
Let's give them food.
Number 3.
Give 'em
horse
food.
meat. Though the horse meat scandal affected many countries in Europe, only in the UK was the taboo against horse meat so massive it caused public outrage.
The experts say the discovery of horse meat masquerading as beef in some Findus lasagnas poses no immediate human health
Horse
risk.
lasagna.
While not knowing exactly where your meat products came from and what was in them was bad, and was the reason governments around Europe took it seriously, people in Britain were horrified at the idea of eating horse meat unwittingly.
The police are now involved investigating whether the horse meat got into products through gross negligence or through criminal action.
Horse meat, however, remains a popular meat in other countries, including Switzerland, Poland, and France.
There's no reason to believe that any
Really?
frozen food currently on sale is unsafe or a danger to health.
But the taboo here remains strong, with lots of people viewing eating a horse much like eating a beloved pet, despite
That's what
there
I was
being
gonna
nothing
say.
fundamentally wrong with the meat.
Yeah, it does feel like eating a dog or a cat for some reason. Why is that? They're very similar to cows. What countries eat horse? Oh, France, Belgium, Iceland, Italy, Bulgaria, Kazakhstan, Austria, Netherlands, Malta. Malta has the worst flag of them all. Norway, Poland, Serbia, Switzerland, Mexico? Mexico, you eat horses. Damn. I think down on horse meat because don't they put it in dog food or something? I remember stories of cowboys running out of food, so they have to eat their horse. Maybe that never happened, but horse meat has a slightly sweet taste reminiscent of beef. Gross.
Number 2. Piggate. Is this the weirdest scandal in British history? Probably not. but it's still an inherently British thing to have happened.
So there are all sorts of mad allegations involving pigs' heads and weird bits of one's body and affairs and so on.
Right.
Not only was the...
Oh, so is this the thing where David Cameron was in a fraternity or something and he had to have relations with a pig? And there was a Black Mirror episode similar to that?
Not only was the rumour started by a Tory peer who had a grudge against David Cameron for not letting him buy his way into the cabinet, but the scandal hinged upon an absurd initiation ritual for an elite dining club at Oxford.
There is apparently photographic evidence of the event, which made me wonder, terrible, was the pig wearing a GoPro?
As we all know, it was alleged by the Lord Ashcroft that Cameron had gotten up to no good with the head of a pig in order to gain entry to the Piers Gaveston Dining Society.
That photo was before digital cameras. Who took that film to Snappy Snaps?
Even weirder was the link between this and the first episode of Black Mirror, though perhaps that was where Ashcroft got the idea from.
Oh, I vaguely remember this coming up in another video. Bullingdon Club, private all-male dining club for Oxford University students. It is known for its wealthy members, grand banquets, and bad behavior. David? I mean, I can't depend on Wikipedia to be totally accurate, but I like believing that this actually happened. I think the world is a more interesting place when I believe that this is real. So I'm going to continue believing that David Cameron f***ed a pig face.
Number 1, Brexit.
Very few ceremonial moments to speak of. We can show you, however, one or two which are highly symbolic. And let's just start with the lowering of the Union flag.
Massive as the impacts of Brexit are, with the polarising issue affecting every aspect of life in the UK since 2016, it's still a totally baffling event to people beyond this country.
The plaque has been removed, and in its place, a new plaque. It's called UCMIS, which stands for the UK's mission to the European Union.
Many of our neighbours on the European continent still don't understand why Brits voted to leave the European Union in 2016, nor do the Americans, and political analysts are still trying, and often failing, to pass Brexit's effects.
UK-bound produce will also face new controls delayed by the British government.
Only people in this country really understand why we chose to leave the EU, but for myriad deeply complex reasons, we did leave the EU on the 31st of January 2020 after almost 50 years in the Union.
Big Ben's Brexit bongs hadn't materialised. Instead, clocks, both digital and famously analogue, were projected onto 10 Downing Street.
Do you agree with our pigs?
This is another controversy that only British people would truly understand. It's accurate title. This was interesting. There are a few things I didn't realize on here. I'm going to go run through some fields of wheat, if you'll excuse me. But thank you all for watching this with me, and I'll see you next time. Later.